Stacy Tornio is originally from Oklahoma, but now is a Wisconsin resident. She's a master gardener, a plant enthusiast, and has more than 10 books to her name. She's passionate about getting everyone involved in the garden, including children. One of her most popular books is Plants You Can't Kill. Welcome to the program, Stacy.
Thank you, guys. I heard you talking about Blue Mills. That's like 5 minutes from my house.
Well, there you go.
I'm over on the south side. Yep.
A wonderful facility. Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join Holly, myself, and our listeners to share some of your garden knowledge with all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited to be here.
You're very passionate about getting kids into the garden. We agree with that. We have a niece and a nephew that's very avid. Apparently, they believe that I live in the garden. I'm not really sure where they get that impression at. But why is it important to you to inspire this, or why do you inspire this so strongly?
You know, I just think it's so important that kids know where things come from. And so, like, knowing where your food comes from, it's shocking how many kids don't realize that, you know, that food is grown from the grounds and it's not just from the supermarket. And so it's something, you know, I have 2 kids, and it's something that I've done with them since they were really little. Like, I'll give them a little space in my garden, and I'll say, you know what, you can grow whatever you want in that space. And to give them that little bit of, like, authority has just really worked out really well. They love gardening. It's helped them kind of take ownership themselves.
And it teaches them, like, failure, too, because not everything they put in the ground is successful.
Oh, for sure. Like, I tell people, like, even if you have a whole packet of carrots and you get, like, 3 from them, that's still a great lesson for kids. They just realize that carrot grows and it comes up, and sure, maybe they didn't get, you know, 30 or 40 carrots, but it's still a little lesson that they're going to remember.
Absolutely.
So you use the square foot gardening method, which is a great method. Why do you use that method versus like a traditional row planting?
Okay, so I grew up on row planting because I grew up in the country where we had huge amount of spaces, and so we had huge gardens, grew everything possible, especially vegetable gardens. And so when I moved to Wisconsin, I've always had more of like a city house, you know. I've had a couple of houses here, and both times I just didn't have the capacity to do like row planting. So I started researching more into square foot gardening and have just been so happy with what I can grow in such a small space. You know, I have like a 4x8 square foot garden right now in my yard, and I have so much growing in it. Like, I tell people, like, oh, I'm growing eggplants and herbs and tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers, and they're just like, where are you growing that? Like, you know, they know my house, and they're like, how do you have space for that? So it's really cool that I can grow so much in just a little space.
Well, and that's the thing. People are they reflect on maybe images they see, or you know, when they were younger, like you did growing up on the farm. I grew up on a farm as well. That you just put the rows in because we never heard about the square foot garden method, and that was just the way things always operated, rows, and that's the way it happened.
Yeah, and I mean, even my mom, who still lives in the same house that I grew up in, like, she does square foot gardening like closer to her house because, you know, the rows, the farm where we had that space is kind of far away from the house. So she'll do, you know, her traditional gardens, but then she'll do square foots up close because it's so convenient.
Now, well, let's talk about your book here, Plants You Can't Kill 101. When people hear that, their eyes open up and they perk up a little bit because that's something a lot of people don't want plants to be dying, and they want to know what they can't kill. What are some examples of annuals, not to give too many examples away from the book, what are some examples of annuals that you can't kill? And first of all, what is an annual so we're all on the same page?
Yeah, so people kind of tease me about the annual section because they're like, you know, annuals are supposed to die every year. You know, perennials come back year after year, but annuals, you plant them for one season, and then they're kind of done, and you have to buy new ones next year. So people have kind of teased me. They're like, you wrote a book called Plants You Can't Kill, and you have annuals in there. And I just kind of laugh at them a little bit because, yes, we still need annuals. Like, containers, we love to put annuals in containers. We love to just have beautiful, pretty flowers. So some of my favorite annuals that do really well and can last an entire season are like geraniums, Geraniums are really good in hot weather. They do good if you forget to water them and you kind of see them wilting a little bit. You can give them more water and they perk up. Another of my favorites is cosmos. Cosmos are very like a beautiful daisy-like flower, and they do something wonderful called reseeding. And so, after the end of one season, the seeds will drop, and a lot of times the next year you will get sprouts, and you'll grow more cosmos just from those seeds that were in the ground over the winter. So in a sense, it's like, yes, it's an annual, but you can get many, many seasons out of it, if you plant cosmos.
So people may have limited outdoor space to grow herbs or even just inside space. A lot of people do enjoy growing herbs. What are some herbs you recommend that are easy to grow, not easy to kill, and don't require a huge time commitment?
So a lot of, like, rosemary right away is a good one, and people love the smell of rosemary. So it's a good one that will live for a long time. I always recommend basil to people because it's very easy to grow and it's fun. You can harvest it and make pesto with it. Any mint. I mean, mint almost goes into that category of, like, if you don't contain it, it can, like, kind of get away from you and almost be, like, a little bit invasive. But that's another good one where it's like, especially if you want to make like a summer cocktail or something and you want to throw mint in there as well. But all herbs, I would say, keep growing them. Like, a lot of times people plant herbs and then, they're halfway into the season and they're like, oh, they're all gone. Why don't I have more? And so I'll recommend, like, if you really like basil or cilantro, like, plant it and then, like, 2 weeks later, plant some more, and then 2 weeks later, plant some more. And so that'll really extend your harvest season if you really like a certain herb, but you're finding out that it's ending too soon.
And basil, and for the example, mint, it's not just the traditional what we remember. Basil, there's like 15 different basils. Mint, there's like 4 or 5 different chocolate, lemon. The traditional basil, there's lemon, lime, cinnamon, licorice. Traditional, I mean, there's so many. Thai basil. There's so many different. It's not just that old traditional green mint or basil that we're accustomed to.
Right, there's so many, and this is where I'll tell people, and like, find a garden center where you trust the workers and ask them the difference, because they should know. And a lot of times the other thing I tell people is, like, read those labels. Like, a lot of times we're accustomed just kind of speeding through things and not reading the labels. And, like, if you read those labels, like, they have really good descriptions of, like, how the flavor is different, from the traditional one that you know. So that's another good way to kind of know what you're buying.
Is there an herb or an herb that you would suggest a new gardener not try to tackle the first year or two until they really understand how the plants grow? Is there like one that you say, hey, it's probably not, don't try to grow this one right away? Is there any of those on that list?
Well, I threw out cilantro a little bit in passing, but that's one that can be tricky for a lot of people. And it's like, okay, I put cilantro, and then it starts to grow too big, and then it turns into coriander, and then it's blooming, and so you don't have your cilantro anymore. And that's one where it's like, you can do it, but it's a good one to, like, grow it throw some more seeds or throw some more plants in every couple of weeks so that you can kind of harvest that and then move on to the next batch, so you're not kind of disappointed that it came and it went and it's gone and it's over, and then you're kind of bummed that it's over. So that's a good one. It's tricky, but you can master it.
Great. Now, you've written several books. Is there one you like more than the others, and why? And where can people find out more information about you?
Oh, that's a tough question. So one of the first books I wrote was a kids gardening book, and it's called Project Garden. And it's kind of near and dear to my heart because I did a lot of the photos for it. And it has really great project ideas for kids. Like, I put some, like, recipes in there from back that are near and dear to me. They're like family recipes, like the family carrot cake recipe is in that book, and stuff like that. So, but it's it's organized by season, actually by month. And so it is a good way to kind of get kids gardening and kind of interested, because it has projects throughout that you can kind of flip through it and pick something out that you like.
Where can people find those books at?
So all of my books you can find on Amazon for sure. So it's like some of them are carried locally. Like I know you can get Plants You Can't Kill at Barnes & Noble right now. But then you can find out more about me. I have a website called Destination Nature. And so if you go on destinationnature.com, you can learn a little bit more about me. I have some free garden projects and ideas on there, especially for kids. But yeah, destinationnature.com is my website.
Well, Stacy, we greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to join Holly and myself and sharing your information with not only us, but all of our listeners as well.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Well, thank you, Stacy.
If you're in the Milwaukee or surrounding areas, just tune your radio to 860 AM or FM 106.5. You can also find links on our Facebook pages, The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener and Home Canning. Our website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, click on the radio tab at the top of the page, then click on the Listen Live button, and you'll have immediately access to our live program. Mobile devices work very well also. Go to your app store and download for free the TuneIn app or the Simple Radio app. Then search WNOV 860, save it to your favorites, and you can have access to our radio show live wherever you're at in the world. Our radio program will also have podcast replay under the radio tab several days following the live broadcast. You can find all of these links in the show notes below. Our show airs 9 to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time every Saturday, March through the end of October. And we want to thank our sponsors, because without them, this would not be anywhere possible. You can find all of their links under the radio tab on our website at thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.